and welcome to another episode of the Sidecar Spin. Today will be a little bit different. I'll be chatting with Clint Gow-Smith. So Clint is a commentator, but he also spent a lot of time as the president of a motocross club and also the sports manager for motocross. So we're going to break down what it takes to be a commentator and an MC in motorsport. So listen and I hope you guys enjoy. So Clint, welcome to the Sidecar Spin podcast.
No, thanks, Tash. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no worries. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into motorsports and being an MC?
Yeah, cool. Basically I raced when I was a kid. Started off as a, 5 or 6 year old racing around on little peewees and 50s and stuff like that. And then, raced till I was about 12 years old. But, just basically then from there, obviously I got second in Australia I think I was 8 or 9 at the time when they had it down at Old Lonsdale. For those listeners that have been around a while, there used to be a mini trail track at Lonsdale there. They had a national there and went really well. And then, raced up into 65s and 85s. And then just through, parents separating, whatever else, I just stopped racing around, I think I was 11 or 12 and got into footy and didn't really have a lot to do with motorbikes for a long time after that. But obviously we're going to touch on being a commentator. I remember from as a young kid, 5 or 6 years old, Dad would take me to the Speedway, and obviously when I got into racing, they had the old programs and everything, paper ones there, not like the live timing and everything we have these days. But I would actually snap the little motorbike figurine off my trophies, and I remember I had different quilt covers, and I would just go through programs and, the guys like Gavin Hutton and these, Jason Dunstall and these sort of guys that have sort of been around the sport, Glenn Humphreys and those sort of older guys. They were sort of, 15, 16 or even a bit older at the time, but I would commentate myself to sleep back then and having all these exciting finishes.
That's so cute.
So I guess from, and I remember my parents telling me for years that they couldn't get to sleep because I was carrying on in the room next to them from a young age. And I guess at that age, I didn't realise that was my passion. And then, as I said, I stopped racing, didn't really go near bikes or have much to do with motorbikes for probably until my mid-20s. Obviously left Adelaide and moved to Roxby, where obviously had my daughter and then my son. And then just given that we were living up in the desert there, I bought another 250 and was riding around and riding a fair bit with mates and everything up there. And then I got involved in the motocross club at Roxby in about 2007 or 8, just as a general member for a year or so. And then, funny enough, I went to an AGM and the outgoing committee sort of, but much to my surprise, basically nominated me to be president. And then sort of the rest is history there. The next 12 years, I was the president of the Roxby Club. And that's probably where, obviously, through Taj's development with his racing, just realised that was obviously a bit of a dream with promoting and everything. And we're a non-affiliated club up there, which came with a fair bit of red tape and politics. But we're pretty successful and had come up with the idea of a night meeting under lights, and sort of been done sporadically through SA at different times. Different clubs had done that, but it was pretty raw at the start and pretty wild the first couple of years. But then as it went, we just got a lot more support, a lot more prize money, and we had Lukey Arbon when he was racing pro, and Chad Billett, and obviously I look back over and we ran that 10 years successfully. Josh Tilbrook. I mean, anyone that's raced motocross, I think Shane Metcalf even raced one. But all the pro guys, Riley Graham, and anyone that was at the sort of the top of the sport in South Australia at that time, did come up to Roxby and race that sort of black club event, which was, it was 3,000 or 4,000 people. There was up to, $20,000 prize money. And I think that's where, Gavin Donaldson came up as a commentator earlier. Gavin's been around the sport a long time. I sort of, basically transitioned from being the president, coordinating all that stuff, but really sort of, I guess it really triggered a passion for me that I'd had as a kid, as I said. So then I started doing some of the commentary and emceeing at those events. And then as Taj's racing career sort of developed through juniors, and we're on the Yamaha race team there for a few years, and I was one of those passionate 50 dads that I want to strangle these days. But we fast forward and then, did that for obviously, then moved to Adelaide and was lucky enough to, get a job with Motorcycling South Australia. Or actually, I think they approached me first about being the sports manager for SA Motocross.
Yeah.
It had sort of been in decline there for a few years, and Taj had stopped racing then. So I'd gone from a mad, passionate, crazy parent, as we see, rightly or wrongly, at junior sport, whatever it may be, and then took that role on, which I wasn't really sure of what I was getting myself into. Been around the sport a long time. Was doing some commentary, but then really sunk my teeth into the SA Motocross state championships and sort of working with all the clubs, sort of rebuilding that, and did that quite successfully with some really dedicated support. You can't do a job of that size. I mean, it is a large discipline in motorsport, motocross. Pretty complex beast, but did that for a couple of years with great success.
I'm
Like I
pretty
said,
sure that's when I first met you, when you were doing
yeah.
that. Yeah.
So we sort of basically paved the new way. We got a lot of sponsorship, and we got aligned with some really good sponsors, and some incredible people that I still call friends today, but other volunteers, but some mentors. But we had a pretty tight knit sort of group, and it was sort of basically grew motocross and really focused on the junior side of it, and that was probably where I did do a lot of reflecting as a parent once, 4 or 5 years prior, being a passionate parent at the motocross, and then I really found myself in a position where, as a sports manager, I could, really rewrite and try to stamp out a lot of the bullying and, sadly, like
Yeah.
I'll put my hand up, and anyone that was around that era would know how passionate I was about Taj's performance and whatever else. But I was then in a position where I could sort of make some wrongs right. And we just to diverse it a little bit, I lost my niece in 2017. 13-year-old Libby, she suicided. So there was a lot of there's a lot of isolation with motorsport, to be honest. I speak to a lot of parents over the years. The kids miss a lot of school, so there was a few different passions there. Tash,
Yep.
obviously, it was around the bullying, and I think we really took a hard line with that stuff, and people that knew me and supported me through that. It was a horrific time for us all. But I was then in a position as sports manager to sort of really stamp out, these group chats and bullying, and spoke to a lot of parents about their kids missing a lot of school. So it sort of bottlenecked a lot of my different passions. But through all of that, obviously, it was commentating and doing a lot of events. And around that period, I was lucky enough to do a couple of Aussie junior nationals, one over at Horsham. So that was really exciting. But it was it's all sort of come together in the early, through COVID and through that period. And that's basically did that role for a few years, moved back to Roxby, but then still commentated, obviously, the King of the Golf or Easter Classic at Perry. That's a fantastic event. It's had its critics over the years, but just the locals community support there, and it's a great club to work with. I'm still passionate about commentating and that sort of thing at different events. And I was lucky enough to go over in the Sandmasters over in Rosebud in Victoria. They just an amateur club series, but they reached out a couple or 3 years ago and went over and was doing that for 3 years. Didn't do it this year just because it's quite a couple of 600K drive and then a couple of flights and everything there. So logistically, that hasn't worked for me this year. But a great amateur club event, and what they were all about was grassroots. They put the scheduling on at the same time as the Pro MX a lot of the time. So it was about giving the kids that aren't usually in the limelight, all the bells and whistles. And when I spoke to the club about that, I said, sign me up, because that's it's obviously it's very important as the grassroots, and not only, not everyone can win, but I just like what the alignment with what the Rosebud Club was trying to
Yeah.
do then. So I'll take a breath, but that's a quick wrap or long-winded wrap. I'm not sure, but so
No,
few different roles, seen
there's
it from all angles.
there's a bit of stuff there to unpack.
Absolutely. So no, I'm grateful, and I've made some wonderful friends along the way, and some great memories in being in motorsport, and obviously in more recent times, as you mentioned earlier, how we met was through the Murray Williams Cup, and hadn't had much to do with sidecars. Actually, I thought about this today. I remember riding at 3-star. I don't know,
Yep.
once again, the
I
older
remember Three
listeners,
Star.
and I kicked myself because there was a family that was involved, the Rabbits, Wayne Rabbits, I think was the dad. I'm not sure. I was only little, but they videoed a lot of my racing and different things, and I lost the VHS video over the years somewhere. But I did actually ride a sidecar at 3-star. There was a rider, I couldn't even tell you who it was, but Dad, in his wisdom, I was only about 9 or 10, said, "Yeah, Clint will jump on the side." And the only thing I remember about that event was going through the stutters and the old stutters, and I got bucked off, and I was that little that the rider didn't even. I might have been on an 85 or something, but I come off the sidecar, and he just kept going, and people are waving him down. And I just remember, I mean, yeah, the jumps looked massive. It all felt so big back then. But that was I guess, my only experience on a sidecar. But then, yeah, obviously getting involved with you guys with the Australian Sidecross and Murray Williams and everything. That's, those sort of events are an actual honour. I hold them in high regard just for what it stands for, and getting to meet Murray and all you crew there with the sidecar. Once again, it's so that's been a pretty cool event and giving me an appreciation of sidecar racing, and yeah, so
Yeah.
here we are.
So, do you remember your first event, your first commentating at, what was it? Murray Williams was the first one that you've done with just sidecars?
Yeah, the first, it was. Yeah, Murray Williams Cup up at Murray Bridge. And I think, I was just like, holy shit. This is crazy. I mean, I watched a little bit on TV over the years, just in Europe and out. So these guys and girls are absolutely crazy. To get to ask to do the Murray Williams Cup, obviously was, and I think that first year there was a big accident down the back, and that's when I realised, wow, there's some pretty stern rivalry between some of these outfits. And I'm just thinking out loud here. I think that was the first year Brian Anthony took me around on him and Lara's outfit, and I just swung, and it was only just a few small, slow laps with Brian. And
Yeah.
that's when I really went, holy shit, these guys and girls are, it's hard work and it's teamwork. And then over that time, I had really appreciation of obviously how important it is to be a swinger and rider, and also knowing guys like the Headland boys. Obviously Nate and Taj grew up, and I know Trent well, from the speedway side of sidecar racing, and Jesse and those guys, and they always said, Clint, the swing is just as important as the rider. And so, yeah, over the years, and then, riding it myself, and then getting to know Brian and yourself and Lara and these guys, and that, as friends, I guess, over the years, and talking more about racing, it's it's phenomenal. And it's exciting racing. People, I know you guys struggle for tracks, and there's something else I'm passionate about. It's like, it's bums on seats. It's people coming to watch. It fills in the day, and there's talk, it ruins the track and it ruts and all that. But I mean, it's just such a great It's great to watch, and I've certainly, I've certainly become an advocate for it, because I've seen it. Went in there pretty naive, obviously, at the Murray Williams Cup, but it got an understanding and an appreciation for what goes on out on the track. And basically, I just think there should be more clubs supporting it. I know South Coast have always supported you guys well. Peary had you up there this year.
Yeah.
The same old
Morgan.
thing. It's
But
Morgan. Obviously, I
that
think you raced there yesterday, didn't you? So
Yeah. That rumor of sidecars wrecks the track, though. That's as a solo rider as well. I ride often. I'll ride a solo and a sidecar on the same event, and
yeah,
they don't wreck the track.
it's just dirt, Tash.
It's just a
just dirt.
different. They just make some different lines and different ruts. It's not trashing anything. Like, that myth is just sort of ruined a lot of our opportunities. So it's a bit annoying.
I mean, yeah, it is, and I don't want to go into the politics of it all, because I get passionate about it, and things I've seen and heard and tried to get over the line over the years in different roles.
Very
But
frustrating.
I remember up at Roxby, we got Seth Enslow and Bubba there one year from Crusty Demons.
Yeah.
We had quads there, we've had sidecars there, we've had drags. It's all about the entertainment package, really. And I think, for the hours and the millions of litres of water and diesel and time spent at clubs to get 50 riders, when you could have, still introducing, other disciplines where it suits, like sidecars at solo events or vice versa. I think, it's a no-brainer that Why not get everyone together and
Yeah.
grow the sport, united rather than, we're not having them here and they can't ride there and it's this and
Yeah.
that. And it's,
Yeah.
it's another 30 or 40 people through the gates and the canteen and the spin off. And it's, spectators turn up and they might not be into solos, but they go, oh, mum and dad, let's get a sidecar. That looks
Yep.
like a bit more fun. And
Well, you've
so you just got to
seen
have your eyes wide open to
at
grow this sport. You really do.
at Perry, you watch as soon as the sidecars went out, everyone comes to the fence.
Yeah, it's exciting,
Yeah.
and because it's bar to bar. It's Puri's a classic because it's not as well. It's a legal track. It's passes all the guidelines, but it's traditionally known as a bit of a one line track. But some of the best racing you see has been at the King of the Golf, and the sidecar's no different. People say that's skinny, but then you guys are going up high, down low, making passes. So if you guys can do it on a sidecar, and it's really exciting stuff. And you're right, people do come because it's a point of difference. And I've probably become more passionate about sidecars for the last 3 or 4 years than I have the solos, to be honest, because
Yeah.
of, just getting to just keeping my eyes open and not being sort of stuck in my ways and seeing it for what it is. And it's, it's phenomenal. And obviously, more recently doing the 24-hour this year and, like the amount of the level of respect I have for you guys and girls that went out and did that was, we stood in the pouring rain. I listened to your podcast with Crash, and he's been awesome once again, just showing a leap of faith and getting me down. Last year, I got caught out a little bit on the start.
Yep.
Like to flap me gums, but I've only got a minute before you guys got to get to your next checkpoint. So I got a slap across the knuckles from the starters there. But this year was awesome being there on the Friday night and then Saturday. And what a grueling event, seriously, like commitment on another level. So hats off to yourself and everyone else that was involved in that. That's a tremendously ran event from the social media to just the build up, the signing, and just the event in itself is just iconic. Well, it's lasted, what is it, 100 years old or something? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yep.
the shit events don't last.
No.
The answer's in the longevity of that event. So, but you survived. I know you lost your phone and
Yeah.
all the rest of it, but
Yeah.
you got we obviously didn't finish, but that's speaking to all the riders and competitors that did that event. It was the finishing rate is pretty low.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah. It
people have been
was.
lucky 5 from 5, or some people have done 7 and finished 1. And brilliant event for sidecars. And I think Crash made or you both made the comment. It's a sidecar event with solo support class. I love that. I did have a giggle. So, but
Yeah, we
yeah.
have our jokes. We like to give the solos a bit of banter.
Yeah, no, they some of those egos could be knocked down a little bit anyway, so it doesn't matter. It's motorsport and it's getting people out there and once again that event's so well supported by the community up there. It's fantastic. So
Yeah, it was
yeah.
good to have you there on the Friday too. It did definitely added to the atmosphere. No, it was
Yeah, well,
good.
I hadn't ever been to the event before. Obviously, I got asked to MC it, so
Yep.
I come in blind. But I sort of said to Crash, like after last year, he asked for a bit of feedback, and I sort of said, look, this is what I'm sort of doing, moving with the times, with a bit of music and things like that. And there's certain events like that. There's a lot of people been involved and very passionate about how it's ran. But yeah, once again, I just said to Crash, look, just trust me with this stuff. And yeah, to his credit and the committee's commit. We sort of just try to have a bit of energy and working with the media guys, Jesse and that. They did a fantastic job behind the scenes to do that live streaming and phenomenal effort by a lot of people behind the scenes that people don't know about. I mean, the riders itself is an effort, but there's those guys running around through the middle of the night trying to keep a live stream for everyone that couldn't be at the event. So working with those guys, doing the opening and the start and then the finish this year was really exciting. And yeah, it was cool to be involved. Absolutely.
So how do you prepare for something like that? Do you do like research on riders or classes or anything? Say prepare for the 24-hour compared to say like a motocross event. Run us through what you would do for each sort of one.
Yeah, it's a fair question, and it is very different. I think my style of commentary is pretty unique in the sense that naturally, I think I'm a person that wears my heart on my sleeve, and I call it how it is. And so obviously with the motocross, if we just step back a little bit, I'll get
Yep.
to and I'll compare the two if I can. I mean, being around motocross with my lad as a junior coming from 50s, And then I think he was on sort of like 85s by the time I started, commentating, I guess, full time as such, is covering all the South Australian championships and some club events and everything. So I had a really good understanding of the riders, I guess, around his age group, and obviously a couple of the older ones. As the 50 kids come through, you sort of get to know them. But so yeah, naturally I sort of got a fair bit of information just following results and getting to know families and a bit of background. I remember some friends down at Keith, the racing, Sarah and Buff down there, Buff says, Clint, I've known you for a few years and been in the sport, but like when you're commentating, you come up with information about riders, not just results. Maybe it's, what, and I don't know where. I guess that's from just being out there and socialising and getting to know families. I've worked with the Lamberts. I mean, probably working with kids that weren't confident speakers, Tash, is something that I realised was another thing that really sort of ticked the box for me and gave me a level of fulfillment was, kids can be, Alex Larwood winning the MX2 class yesterday. I mean, we spent a lot of time with the Larwoods growing up, and Alex, him and Taj are chalk and cheese. I mean, Alex was very shy, same with his older brother Thomas, but yeah, spending time with those kids and getting them to just be a bit more confident in their speaking. And young Emily Lambert, who had a big off recently at the in the women's. But Emily, when I first met Emily, she wouldn't say, she was so quiet, and I actually did a bit of one-on-one work with her behind the scenes, just to say, look, you're going to be on the podium. We just got to work on, and her parents approached me, which was humbling in itself. So I ring Emily during the week, and I think I got her to a SAMX Awards night just to practice her public speaking. But we sort of rehearsed that before, and if they're listening, I'm sure they're not embarrassed by this. This is what happened, and then and to see her grow in her, not just her motor, like her results, but as a young woman, was really fulfilling for me. I just thought, wow, like that family's trusted me to sort of do some one-on-one mentoring with her around thanking sponsors and stuff, because that is important. Nothing worse, and she had a lovely family, but she was a shy kid. But there's other kids that win, and they're right little shits, to be honest. Brats. So it's that fine line. But I guess, to answer your question, it was more I was in the sport. I had a lot of knowledge. I love interviewing the kids. I think it makes not just the winners at the end of the race, but getting it down to the start line. And just interviewing those kids. The parents got the phones out, and it's a big moment for a lot of these kids. So to be able to be the person that brings that memory to life is it's priceless. No one could pay me enough money in the world to, I've got that opportunity and that responsibility to do that, and that's something I focus on and I'm proud of. I think that's the style of what I do, and I don't really think about it at the time, but I know that engaging those kids, it really, you see that, mum and dad are happy, or nan and pop are there, and it's a big moment. And so as far as the motocross side, it was probably prior knowledge and everything. With the sidecars and the 24-hour, absolute fish out of water there. So I had to rely on Crash a fair bit, but to his credit, and he's a professional person. I mean, I know he takes the piss and has a bit of fun, but he takes that event as part of the committee very seriously, and trusted I was going to deliver on that. So we spent a fair bit of time researching. Well, he gave me all the information on every single outfit. Not previous results. There's a bit of banter about no bike prep. This person's just got this bike from Europe and everything. So he really did. I got to give him a lot of credit for cluing me up prior to that event just recently. But yeah, the Murray Williams Cup, same thing. Come in blind. Getting used to saying, both names even, or calling it an outfit or a sidecar rather than a bike. I mean, I've been doing some go-kart commentating around and dirt circuit racing as well, and getting used to saying driver instead of rider, things like that. But yeah, I try to do a bit of research on. I obviously want to know what I'm talking about and get my facts right. I don't always get the pronunciation of names right, but yeah, I like to have a bit of background info on the event best I can. So yeah, I take it seriously. I mean, it is. It's something I don't think about when I'm actually doing it during a race and everything. I sort of just call it and see it. And if it's exciting, well, hopefully I get excited and it engages people. The main thing is to try to be really informative. And if there's anything I know about those riders or the bike, or, even when they're racing, different lines that they're taking, I really try to focus on that and sort of bring the race to life and give people that, something to follow, because I've always said that to grow the sport, like we've all invested in the bikes, we're already there. The competitors are not where we're going to get the growth. It's the people that just pop in off the street, that pull up. And I'm big on good PA systems, because that's for the average that's how we're going to get people into the sport. Tash,
Yeah.
I believe, is if you rock up to an event and there's no commentating, and Brett Metcalf or Brian Anthony or someone's out there that's been overseas and done it, and they're just riding around, it just looks like bikes riding around. But if we have the ability to communicate to the general public that have turned up there, well, they're more likely to stay.
Yep, spot on.
So that's what I'm passionate about. And I've been working through with the car clubs and go-kart clubs, and up at Roxby, they've just updated the PA system, and also a safety thing. If there's an accident and there's a delay, PA systems are something that does get forgotten. And I guess over the years, I've had a lot of frustrations with clubs, because I guess I was the sports manager or on the MC. So it looks like I'm just trying to float my own boat. But seriously, I've been a president of a club, and I know how important canteen sales are, and I know how important it is to have people engaged, because that's how we're going to get the growth in the sport. So very passionate about that stuff even today, as you could probably imagine. I haven't taken a breath. So,
But you're right, though, like having someone, even just on the PA saying, oh, guys, make sure you support the canteen. We've got egg and bacon rolls or whatever. And people go, oh, yeah, egg and bacon roll. And they'll go down and get one.
100% sponsors, but some
little
sponsors
things
are
like
just,
that.
yeah, it's huge. And like I said, it's the interviews. It's Nan and Pop being able to record it.
Yep.
If there's an accident, look, there's a delay, ambulance is on its way. If you don't have that, you got stewards and officials running around, and they're all volunteers, and they cover enough Ks in a day just running around managing they're there at 6 doing sign on. Last thing they need to do is running around trying to yell and scream and tell people, riders briefs at 8 o'clock. So a PA system is, the track will always get prepped. But a PA system is such a great investment for every club to attract spectators, which turn into members, turn into competitors.
Yep.
To me, it's a no-brainer. But
well, it adds that atmosphere, and I've been to tracks where there's none, and you're right, people just look out there and go, oh, there's just people riding around. But you have someone on the PA saying, oh, this is such, and they've just done this and they've done that, and that's a husband and wife team, and that's a mother-daughter team or a father-son team, and everyone's like, oh, wow, that's pretty cool. Then they start watching them and going,
first race,
yeah, yeah.
He or she's just come back from a national title, or they've been over racing the world titles, whatever it may be. It's just having that informative connection between, I guess, bringing the race to life.
People actually get like fans as well that follow them, and then the sponsors, 100%. People go, oh, did you see them do that? Oh, let's look at them on social media. And so it definitely makes a difference. That's for sure.
Oh, that's good, because it's enjoyable, and I love doing it, and I think people feedback's usually pretty positive. So we just pick and choose the events I do these days, and
So how do you keep track of everything that's happening around the track during the day? Do you have like people coming up and giving you information throughout the day, or do you sort of walk around and find stuff yourself? And
I just look for the gate drops, that's always exciting.
Yeah.
And I'm all for shorter races for the spectator involvement. I see, you see like the golf when I think I just went through the hoop, but all that the golf tournaments that were going around Australia or around the world and making it more exciting, like T20 cricket. There's shortened versions of netball these days. People just want action, and I think all the action is usually off the start line.
Yeah.
So 20, 25-minute motos, I'm not for it. I think, more gate drops. But I think, so the gate drops, that's all exciting. And then you obviously naturally call the
intensity up, doesn't it?
And
everyone on the edge of their seat sort of thing.
Yeah, and then I think, for me as a commentator, if I can sort of step outside myself, I think, you call the racing and you're always going to call the leaders. And that's another thing that I've, been humbled by over the years with different people that have raced at all different levels. They say, Clint, one thing about your commentating, you will call the last rider.
Yep.
And I think that's, I guess, just me personally, is give everyone their moment in the sun. I mean, So that's something I really pride myself on, and trying to get those interviews. But also, if there's a battle between 8th, 9th and 10th, and the leader's out by 30 seconds. I mean, you can bang on about that all day and it gets pretty boring. So I just try to find, one kid could, or a rider could be, having a really good meeting that I find that they've really improved. So through my own eyes, so I'll, track them for a little bit. Just, yeah, try to mix it up as best I can. Get an interview at the end of the race, not always the winner. I mean, big events, obviously, like King of the Golf State Championships and things like that, you're going to interview those podium finishers, but also just grab that kid that's picked his bike up or her bike up 6 or 7 times in the mud, and that just makes their day. It can turn a day around for a little one that's thinking it's all too hard, but then you get the mic under their goggles, and it's you can make a difference there. So I just try to find if there's a good battle on, and I guess I wasn't a pro racer, but I've been around tracks and enough people around that I sort of can read that if someone's making ground in a certain part of a race or a certain section, maybe it's under brakes through a whooped out section or something, and they're closing in, I'll just share what I see, I guess. And
Yeah.
then sometimes it works out and it looks like I've, forecasted the race perfectly, and there's a pass made on the last lap, and I'm excited, and everyone's like, wow, because they've been following that battle through the PA system, I guess, through me observing. But yeah, and it just all sort of comes together, I guess.
And it does, as a person, like, for me, the last year's Murray Williams Cup was my first year of riding a sidecar, not passengering, and I was having some battles at the end with a couple of the other bikes that are a bit slower, and you were full commentating our sort of battle, and you can hear it on the videos. And at the end when I watched the video, I was like, oh, that's really cool, because it was really exciting for us to be able to have that battle at the end, and we were nowhere near the start of the group, but for you to actually acknowledge us and, give us props up on the mic and talk about us was really cool.
Well, that just checks out what I just spoke about. So that's pretty cool feedback. That's awesome.
Because
that is really
a
cool.
lot of the time, the people at the end sort of get left out. For example, I just rode Fink, and they'll talk about the top people of Fink, and they'll video them, and they'll do everything. And then they cut the live feed off before all the end ones come in, all the battlers, all the ones that had the big offs, the stacks, the ones that, the older people that have, really struggled to, get to the end. And it's sort of a bit disappointing because they're sort of left out. And you're happy for the people that are at the front all the time, but sometimes you're like, you know what? I want to hear about these other people. What have they been doing at the end of the sort of thing?
Those people are the ones that keep the sport going or the discipline going, because at the end of the day, the top 3 or 4, and let's use Fink for example, are factory riders. They're going to be there every year because they're invested. But it's the other 20 or 30, 50 competitors that actually pay their subs or pay their riders' fees or their entry fee that actually keep the sport rolling.
Yeah.
So it's it's more important to basically give those people the accolades, because they're the ones that are going to turn up every year and pay their way. The pro guys and girls will just go and do what they need to do, obviously because they're manufacturers and there's an investment there too. But it's the people, even in junior motor, you look at whatever discipline it is, the top 4 or 5, 6, 8, depends how deep the class goes, they're committed, they're in. So, whether it be MA, whatever the governing body, whatever the club, they've got that money. But if we don't support the ones at the back, then we only ever have 8, and you only got to look at the pro class in motocross the last few years. It's just dwindled to nothing. And I mean, that's a premier class. Whereas you look at an 85cc class or big wheel or 125, and there's 25, 30 kids there. And that's important that everyone gets their sort of time in the sun, because ultimately, if we only just bang on about the top 3, well, that's all we're ever going to have. So yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you. And it's great that you have witnessed personally that feed, that style of commentary. And that's really cool.
Yeah, no, it's definitely appreciated by everyone, I think, because it makes you feel like you belong there.
Absolutely you do.
Yeah.
Some people are out there for fun. Some are there to win. Some can't. Trainers, they don't have a block of a property to train on. They're just out there enjoying the sport for what it is, and it's important that they get treated as equal as the person that's in all the factory hoo-ha. And passionate about that. Absolutely.
So, On a typical day, walk us through like a typical race day from the moment you sort of arrive at the event. What do you do?
I get nervous as shit. And people close to me over the years have said, "Come on, Claire," all the lap scoring girls and guys that have, got to know me, whether it's through, our kids racing or just know me as a commentator and I spend a lot of time at the lap box, like Tammy that does the timing, and she's like, "You don't get bloody nervous." And I said, "Yeah, I do." And it's funny, and I don't know who's listening at the next event, even at the 24-hour. And I love that I get nervous because it means I give a shit about it.
Yeah.
I'm not just turning up or whatever. Um, so I hate that first intro. Motocross event, I used to get there at 6 when I was sports manager, and people would make jokes about me. I wouldn't just be, I'd say good morning, everyone. But even then, my heart's racing, Tash. Oh, it's hard
Yeah.
to believe.
Yeah.
But even Murray Williams Cup, for example, any event, and I love that, like I just said, I love that I get nervous and people don't believe it, but I'll pace around. I'll get the mic, I'll do a bit of a check, I might play bit of music or whatever, but then I'll literally pace for 5, 6, 7 minutes before I actually take that first breath. So there's a bit of an insight to anyone
Yeah,
that thinks
wow.
I just full of my own shit. But I get nervous like a kid doing a show and tell.
Yeah.
But I love that. I think that's what sort of gets me going once I start. So yeah, I get to the event, I sort of have a look around and see who's racing and see what classes I see if I know people in the field. Then I sort of know that, obviously, okay, there's going to be some great battles, and then sort of look at that. But no 2 days are the same at the track for a rider or parent or volunteer or whatever. So you sort of just get used to get ready to see what happens, and then obviously as they take off and get into it, we sort of find out who's who, and sort of just get lost in the excitement of that. I mean, and another thing, there's some races I need a break at some point during the day, and
Yep.
I try not to have the same races. I mean, as much as people, have given me positive feedback, "Oh, Clint, you love having you here. It's great energy." And, you get sick of anyone's voice. And I hate hearing myself on Instagram posts of obviously riders. Like you said, people follow people on social media. You mentioned that you watched the video and you could hear me flapping my gums in the background, which is pretty cool for you. That's awesome. But if I hear myself sometimes, I'm like, "Oh, shit." But that's
Yeah.
probably just, people, I just
I'm
a bit
like that with
self-conscious
this
of that, but
podcast. I
nah, you're killing it.
I'm
You're doing
like,
great work there.
"Oh, people are gonna be bloody sick of hearing me talking all the time."
Nah, nah. When we talk about, ambassadors and advocates status, as I've said to you, in at the track and in messages or whatever, the work you've done, yeah, it's incredible. And we might just cue in on the All Girls Day, talk about passion and women in sport. And, that was another incredible event that you guys all pulled together that. And, I was not a doubter, but I just didn't think there was that many women that would race. And to do that All Girls Day up at Murray Bridge, I hold that in, above, I guess, even doing junior nationals and stuff because of just the pioneering and just being that, doing something so different and pulling it off like you did. And I know you're a driving force behind that. So
Well, we had to have you
yeah,
part of it too, so,
no, and that's
you
something I
know.
hold dear. The girls gave me a little flag that Crash made up for them the other week, and I've souvenired that. I loved all the memorabilia, and I mean being part of the motocross scene with the Butlers and Ian and Tracy, what they did, and Steph and those girls, what they did in motocross, and Amy Barch, and they really pioneered it for, and we had 2 classes and everything. So, yeah, to be involved and be a part of those events and be asked to come along because of, I guess, what you believe that I bring is
Yeah, and
really humbling. And
you always give the girls a good rap as well, like, a lot of the time the girls will be forgotten in things as well, so you
yeah,
always make sure that you point out that, there's girls in this race as well and what the girls are doing, and you always chat to me all the time, so, you
no,
know,
I try to chat to all the girls,
so
and because I've seen it grow from when Steph was, racing all the boys, and then then we got a couple of junior girls classes, and it grew and it grew, and then you see, there was more girls racing at King of the Golf a couple of years ago than the pro boys, and I'm just like, yeah, you go girls, it's awesome. And to be a part of that and help promote that, and hopefully there's a few nieces and granddaughters or daughters or wives in the crowd on those days. We get back to talking about the PA and being informative. Hopefully, over the years that by me promoting that there's girls like, hey, like this is a sport for us too, and let's get around it. And it's been awesome to see the development in women in motocross. It's been a passion of mine. Tracy and Ian are dear friends of mine through that connection, through driving that change that had to happen. And Peary Club, to mention them with the SA Women's Cup, I mean, they
Yeah.
pioneered that 15, 16 years ago. And like sidecars at a solo event, people sort of just curl their nose up at it. Well, hang on. It's not going to happen overnight, but over a lot of years of just perseverance, you girls and you once again, you guys and yourself and Lara and Eliza and these girls have just been pushing shit uphill, to be honest, and you stuck to your guns. And I up it. I think it's shit hot.
With the girls, it's consistency and the girls knowing that we get our own race. That's why Perry's so good, because they always give you your own race. And I think the consistency of knowing that that's going to be a girls only race, that's why they'll come.
Yeah, but and it takes a club to just take a line in the sand. And
Yep.
and Footy and Smarty and those guys up there, they've been around for a million years. And Dave had his daughter race it back in the day, and I think she raced last year. But
Yep.
she's a mum now. But it's just to hold firm and piss off to the naysayers and go, look, hold firm and be consistent. And it's I think SA motocross is probably one of the healthiest. I know they had the Go Girls or comp up in Queensland years ago. But I mean, I've been over to Victoria doing, racing and commentating, and the amount of women and girls in motocross in South Australia is probably healthiest in the country. I don't have any data right now. But I
wow.
would say it would be, it runs rings around, compared to the male side of it, where the junior motocross is just stacked, like hot, lot faster kids over there, bigger gate numbers. But when you isolate the female and male, SA is on the map there for sure.
Wow.
And that's through a lot of hard work through, Ian and Tracy in the early days, and girls like yourself that are just keep pushing. You won't, take no for an answer. And that old girls' day, it's not going to work. The club's going to lose money. And I was one of those people, initially. And I remember speaking to Dale and I know that it was a lot of work for you guys to get sponsors. And then we turned up and there was, 80 odd girls there.
Yeah, there was a fair few. Lots of people were saying, this is like a normal race day. What the hell? We didn't expect this.
Yeah. But that takes a lot of, a lot of people to stick to your guns. And it would have been easy for you to listen to the noise and go, no, okay, they're right. Because, you look at the entries and we might have 6 or 8 girls in the 2 junior motocross classes, then say 7 or 8 in the seniors. So, let's say 20 for a number. And then to have 80 come out of the woodwork, it was just like, holy shit, like this is and that's where we get the growth.
And a lot of them were beginners that had never even ridden on a track before.
And that's the key. That's why they come out, because they knew we
told them they were guaranteed their own beginner class, and that's why they did it.
Yeah. And that's I don't know why you haven't done another one. Don't need to probably go into that today on this.
It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, mate. But I mean, it made everyone in the industry stand up and go, well, shit, there's 80 odd riders out there. Like, let's get them rec riding or doing the off roads or enduros, sidecars, whatever. But that just showed that the potential for growth out there is, and there's probably 300-400 motorbikes getting around regional SA that don't race competitively, whether it be solo, sidecar, male, female.
Yeah.
And it's just we just got to funnel those people in. And once again, it comes down to being proactive at club level and making it welcoming and getting people enjoying the sport, and then it goes from there.
For sure.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So back to how you were saying, with all the action during the racing, how do you keep talking when there isn't much happening on the track?
That's a tough gig.
Yeah.
I think I'd sort of just started waffling onto something else, but what I was going to say about the sound of my own voice, that's where I was going with that. You can't just, if it's not exciting, it's not exciting. And I'm a realist, and I've watched enough sport, be it footy, cricket, motocross, sidecars, swimming. Commonwealth Games are on at the moment. But if it's not exciting, it's really hard. So I try to pride myself on not just trying to you can't bullshit people. If
Yeah.
it's 5 in the race and they're 2 minutes apart, that is not great entertainment. So I still try to just basically give those people their obviously you don't just turn the mic off and go, "Oh, this is boring," and walk out. That's probably
Yeah.
when I probably deep dive into some of the profiles of those riders.
Yep.
And just try to keep it informative and just sort of massage that event through, I guess, to the next one. But certainly when it's exciting, King of the Golf always delivers both days. Keep plugging that event. Smarty,
Yeah,
you
it's
better be listening,
awesome.
mate.
It's
But
an awesome event, and like we've had the sidecars there the last 2 years, and like it was awesome, and we're so grateful that they give us that opportunity. And I think because the last 2 years have been so good, like we're all keen as for next year.
yeah, good experience, and that's through life. If you go to a restaurant, you get good service and everything. You go back, don't you? And I mean,
Yeah,
if you go to an event and everyone's an asshole and they promise you a class and then don't give you a class or they cut your laps back, you're not signing up for next year. And I think Piri, as we said about the women, and same with the sidecars, they draw a line in the sand. They ignore the naysayers, the solo riders that sort of say, "Oh, it's shit with them," and they do what's right for the club and the sport. And
yeah,
I think that's, people can bang on all they like. I'll always come down. Is it growth in the sport? Is it increased entries? Has it made it more exciting? Well, then park your ego
yeah,
and do what's better for the sport, not what may suit you or your committee or what your ideals are. Sitting in the president's chair or whatever your role may be. So
yeah.
that's pretty
Spot
pointed.
on.
Yeah.
So,
So
have you ever had to like cover like unexpected like emergencies or delays or anything like that? Like, what do you do when someone has like a bad accident?
try to do some interviews, keep people keep the riders obviously updated through the officials. Whether it's an amber or play a bit of music. But yeah, basically just make sure that people know that there might be a delay. So that I'm being a parent too. If you're in an event where there's you I don't know, I've been at events where Taj might be up next. He's a 9-year-old jumping out of his skin wanting to race. Dad, when's my race? And if you don't have that information, then people are sitting on the line. It could be a hot day, sitting under a helmet. So I just try to keep everyone as informed as I can. Good time to sit under the quick shade, have a hot minute, leave the bikes at the gate. We're not going to be racing for half an hour. I'll give you 10 minutes notice. Plug on about some sponsors, do a bit of a walk around if there's some sponsors present. Maybe a couple of rider interviews. Plug the canteen, plug the sponsors, upcoming events. Yeah, just sort of fill it in
Yeah,
without just being over the top and either causing panic or just waffling on for the sound of waffling. I sort of try to make it meaningful as I can and a bit of light humour. And if someone's up in the commentary box or there's someone in the crowd that I haven't seen for a while, I'll just have a chat to them. But um, I'm working on a bit of a business in the background. It's Boss Promotions, which stands for Bums on Seats, which
yep.
is I think is pretty fitting from what we've covered off. And that sort of entails basically me helping promote the event from the social media side and bums on seats, meaning more riders, obviously more spectators and that sort of thing. So not far away. Probably next couple of months, I've just done a lot of the background stuff and getting some imaging up and some history on what I've done and whatever else. But yeah,
Oh, that's
it's just
cool. So, what you
yeah,
gonna have like a website and stuff like that, or are
yeah.
you
I've got a
just yep
website up and
social
just
media?
I'm over at Whyalla working at the moment.
Yep.
They've got their final race meet at the local motocross club here on the 16th, which is quite ironic because I think Taj is going to race it, but that was his first ever state title. Whyalla haven't had a state title here since probably 2012. I think that was around then. So to be here working, and I sort of just said, look, I'll help out and I'll come out and do some commentating. So that's going to be pretty cool. But yeah, it's just we'll see what happens. And like I said, I've been doing some go-kart, couple of 2-day events at Roxby and the dirt circuit cars. So yeah, just all sports basically, and
Yep.
want to sort of try to promote and get people out of the lounge and trackside or with a helmet on and
Yep.
different sports.
Oh,
And
that's cool.
so I'm pretty excited about that. It's just going to be not a side hustle, but obviously it's my passion and
Yep.
been around the sport long enough. And I think, I think
Cool.
it's
It's
just a
giving
good
back,
fit.
isn't it? It's definitely
Yeah,
gonna
absolutely.
that can help a lot of people because some people just don't know where to start.
Yeah, Yeah, absolutely, they don't. So, yeah, hopefully we can do some stuff there and, yeah, just
Oh,
keep
cool.
involved and, yeah, pretty
So,
cool.
what's something that spectators would be surprised to learn about being a commentator?
Um,
Well, I didn't think you would been that nervous.
no, that's probably if anyone that knows me, I'm not short of a word. And I like to sort of be pretty social, but I think, yeah, being as nervous as I get, would be definitely the surprise. I mean, even, people close to me, family, friends, partners, whatever. They're just like, "Come on, Clint, you don't get nervous." I said, "Yeah," and people have witnessed me with my sweaty palms and stuff. So I probably put a bit of target on my head. They'll see me hiding behind the canteen or something. I'll go hide behind a caravan for that first. Yeah, it's weird. It's not like anyone's even watching me, which is great, but it's just taking those first words.
Yeah.
Yeah, I encourage people to sort of always wanted to. Oh, Yelani Guy, her name passed me for a second. So young
Yep.
Yelani, I seen obviously know the Guy family well. She came and did the sand blasters or sand masters down at Robe one year, and even at Murray Bridge, I think might have
Yeah,
even
she
been the Murray
did.
Williams Cup.
She
She
did.
did, yes.
Yeah, I remember that. She come
And
and
then she
helped
moved
out.
over to Lincoln, but I mean, lovely family. She's a great kid. Not probably a kid these days. She's a bit older now, but she always obviously I interviewed her and got to know the family, and then she sort of said, "Clint, I'm interested," and I always wanted a second commentator, sort of just to. I think it was just where I was heading and sort of a bit more diverse, and you can sort of have one commentating and then one sort of doing some interviews or track reports and take it take the sport to a bit more professional level. But yeah, Yelani did a few events with me, and then she moved away, unfortunately. But it was pretty cool mentoring her, and
Yeah.
she was nervous. But yeah, it's just it's not for everyone, and some people, yeah, think it's easy. It's like stand up comedy or anything like that, or public speaking. Really, it's not for everyone. But yeah,
What do
you
you
definitely need
think
it.
makes a great, like, MC or commentator?
I think just reading I mean, I've done it like obviously a lot of live events, but also just doing, Night of Champions for MSA and end of year presentations and that. Just public speaking in general. I think it is nerve wracking, but try to read the room and like you said about some races aren't that exciting.
Yeah.
So not trying to make it just the sound of my own voice and yelling and screaming because you just sound like a turkey because everyone can see that it's not that exciting.
Yeah.
So just reading the room, I guess, to use a phrase. I mean, a room being the track, and just yeah, I know with the Murray Williams Cup, knowing how the format works. So the format, I guess, sort of builds my day. Um, and there's state rounds, is standard 3 rounds in practice, whatever. But the Murray Williams Cup is a great example, and also King and Prince of the Golf, because of the feature races at the end. So I'll sort of start off. Even if there is exciting racing, I'll still get excited. But in the back of my mind, I sort of try to build the event to that climax, I guess, at the end, and the music gets a bit louder, and it's a bit more upbeat, and I get a bit more excited as and I talk about, don't, don't leave, coming up, and
Yeah.
just try to keep that, information flowing, and because especially with the Murray Williams Cup, some guys will and some outfits will, drop around because they want to save themselves for that feature race. So just keeping people informed of different strategies, what they do, but then obviously internally, I build myself up because I know that the event is going to be an absolute ripper at the end. So
Yeah.
I'm guaranteed that with those two events that I've just highlighted for sure. Obviously with state championships and that, there's not that. It's just 3 rounds. I mean, obviously if it's the final round of the final race of the final round, and there's, it comes down to points. There's obviously plenty of data there to sort of talk up. Like this is going to, they've won one race each. This is going to be the decider. There's 3 points the difference. And I think that, when you're in events like that, that it's really easy to build that energy. But I guess it's being finger on the pulse and being aware of that and trying to relay that information as keep it as live and factual as you can. And that certainly hopefully helps people hang around rather than packing up the trailer and going, or, reversing the car out because they think it's all the racing's finished. Well, and that's the whole idea with obviously what I've always done. And as I've mentioned, these boss promotions, it's basically making sure, if I'm at an event where we're trying to keep people there, we're going to get people through the gate. We want to keep them there. We want to get them involved and hopefully buy a motorbike or get involved in some way, or at least, buy a hot dog and
Yep.
spend some money at the canteen. So, yeah, it's just all of that combined, Tash, to be honest. Yeah, but being a president and a volunteer for so many years and understanding the revenue streams involved with clubs and also the politics and volunteers, it's not like they're on the payroll. So, there's varying levels of what people can give a week to go and help out their club. But if it's one thing, like, just get involved. It's your kids. It's someone else sacrificing to be out there. But, yeah, I think that's sort of what I sort of do in a
Yeah.
day is just to pick the event and try to build it up so it's exciting and people leave there going, shit, motocross or sidecars are cool. I want to get one, mum or dad, or how cool was that event I'm going next year, whether it be a spectator or a rider. So,
Have you
and that's stuff.
ever messed up and said the full wrong things, or do you ever go home and think, oh shit, probably shouldn't have said that?
Oh, too many times. And I'm the last to hear about it. You know what motorsport's like. People will tell 100 other people, they tell me. But, nah, that's all right. But, yeah, actually, I don't think I thought I did. But I'll own this because I know the Dohse family very well. And Dave come up and spoke to me afterwards. And I kicked myself because when Coops come over for the 24-hour on the solo just recently,
Yeah.
I didn't actually, and I mean, Coops is very dedicated. He's, the top of his sport. He's sponsored. And I didn't actually say outright winner when I introduced him when he come and they Dave didn't have a go at me. He just sort of said, Clint, you didn't announce that. And I took that personally, not from Dave, but as I really kicked myself about that because I wouldn't usually miss that mark, but I did say first solo home or whatever, but maybe I just didn't actually announce that, provisional winner or the way I probably usually would have captured it. So there's a nice recent one for you. And it's still pissing me off inside, but
Yeah. How
no.
do you get over stuff like that? Like, how do you come back from sort of?
You can't take it back. I mean, pronunciations of names. Gow-Smith, Taj has been, or Taj, T-A-J, Gow-Smith to me. I say it every day. It's pretty basic, but we've had million different people call him Ty, Targ, Tag, Go-Smith, whatever. And look, there's 100 competitors, and one thing I do stress, and I love that parents that come up to me early in the day or a friend will say, hey, Clint, the pronunciation's wrong, because there's nothing worse. Like, I'd rather just come up the lap box and say, hey, my name's this, because it's nothing more annoying. And I guess, people sort of almost ridicule the commentator for it, but
you don't know if you don't know.
Exactly right. And there's nothing worse if you're sitting there videoing your kid win an Australian championship and I've got his name wrong. That's not a good look for anyone. So, yeah, I encourage, if I'm at an event and I get your name wrong, just come up. I'm not going to, hopefully I get it right from there. But there's a few tongue twisters over the years, especially if they're not, people I don't know. And I look at the program and go, shit, how does that get pronounced? But, yeah, so
well, I think you thought I was Brian at Piri when I jumped on with Lara.
Oh, you guys swap and change, and
I know. How do you work that out a lot of the time? Because sidecars do swap and change all the time.
Lara and Eliza's mum sorted it out for me. She's a godsend. She gives me all, and she hates when I'm up there with her because I try to get her on air. I leave the mic on and cut with a bit of cheeky gossip, bit of gossip from the sport. But she's brilliant. She'll come up and say, Clint, this is what's going on. This is where they've been. This is what's happening. No, they've swapped car. They're swinging, and he's not riding, and he's at Mildura Racing Speedway, and buddy Natasha's on that bike now. So without those sort of people, I'd be lost. But yeah, I mean, program. Some people enter late. I don't get their name.
Yeah.
Back numbers. Being a sports manager, I think that's just gone to the shit. Like the rules around back numbers and I mean, to be a lap scorer, it's such a thankless job. People yell and scream because they've missed point snap, but the riders in their preparation for events, wrong back numbers, different bike side plate numbers, just a headache.
Yeah.
And it's just pretty simple to get that shit right. I mean, last minute changes of swingers and
yeah, that happens all the time.
that happens. But yeah, I mean, and I get embarrassed. I've called the end of the race and it's been 1 lap to go and I've pumped it up and they're coming around the last quarter and it's like, oh no, 1 lap to go. And I'm like, you dickhead. But,
Yeah, but sometimes they bloody forget to put the last lap board up and they let you go for an extra one. You know, when you're in the race, sometimes you're like, oh, hang on a minute. Thought that was the last lap.
And I think sometimes I prompted officials or, I hate cheating. So, sometimes consciously, I'll admit on air right now that, if I see someone cut the track, I'll call it as I see it. But, officials hear that. And I just think, so there's a fair bit of power, I guess, and responsibility with the microphone. But yeah, I don't always get it right, but I'm human. But yeah, I try to get names right for sure because I know it's on social media and this and that. And I don't want to just be having the parents cringe or the partners cringing every time I say your last name but yeah, sometimes I get excited and riders might be especially these days with all the race gear. I mean, the new Fox gear comes out and there's 3 riders on Yamahas with white helmets right in the same gear. It's very easy as they go out of sight to get them wrong. So sometimes I might be talking to some youngster that he's first year in seniors. Oh, he's got the whole shot and he's leading them around and then he's 5th and it's just someone that's changed their gear between races, And I just, what do you do?
Yeah.
People,
it would be very confusing.
But I think on the whole, I think it's, hopefully it's a better experience than not when I'm at an event. So,
do you ever lose your voice?
Lost it at Perry.
Yep.
3 years ago. I lost it on the Saturday. And that's a really good question. I lost it on the Saturday and it was sort of like my voice was breaking like a 15-year-old. And it wasn't until I knew it was scratchy and it was like popping like a badly tuned 2-stroke. But it wasn't until I went out on the track, and usually I don't go out on the track until like later in the day so I can get those interviews as they come down the return strip. But I remember walking out there because Smarty and that are like, shit, you're gone. And I went out and I could hear myself through the speakers for the first time on the weekend, Tash, and it was absolutely terrible. It was like, it was husky, it was popping, it was high pitched, it was low.
What do you do?
Oh, I just keep talking. I think it's just just hold it wide open, as they say in the game. And
do you drink water and try to make sure that try to stop it from sort of happening? Or
well, I got some mates that I grew up with that were in some pretty successful bands and that. And one of the singers, he would always drink tea, cold tea, or with no milk and everything. But I'm not that disciplined. I'd get my Dare iced coffee and send it, get my egg and bacon sandwich and go
ready
with
to
it.
go.
But yeah, it was funny. I lost it that year, but then when they had the vintage and the classic nationals, that was over 4 days, and I think we went through 109 events in 3.5 days or something ridiculous. And they're only 3 lappers. That was 2 years ago. And I didn't lose my voice, and that's a lot of events to commentate. But so no, it's never happened before. I didn't speak. There's a fun fact for people that don't know me. I didn't actually speak till I was 4 years old, and I know the following line of that, well, shit, Clint, you've made up for it since then. But so I get nervous, and I didn't talk till I was 4. So
wow.
Anyway, that was the best 4 years for a lot of people. nice and quiet. But it's awesome. So
what would you say is the most chaotic event that you've ever worked?
24-hour last year when I didn't know how the format worked. That was like, holy shit, what am I doing?
Yeah.
But chaotic. How do you describe chaotic? I think, Horsham Nationals. I mean, I did, the other junior national I did it at the Riverland. That was, the commentator hadn't turned up there and Taj was on the junior race team, and that caused a bit of caused some conflict, I guess, internally because Pam Groom's daughter Shannon was the sports manager back then when they had the junior nationals at Renmark, and it poured rain, but the commentator hadn't turned up. She got sick in Perth. Then so the club sort of asked me to step in, and I had a son racing, and it was very compromised. But, once again, I guess it was to my detriment, I guess, and people at Yamaha didn't, they frowned upon that internally, but I think that was more the political crap that goes on. But once again, I just stepped up because the event was there, and I've done a lot of work with Doug Spanos and the Riverland Club over the years. Very similar relationship to I had at Perry. have at Perry. So I stepped into that at a minute's notice to help Shannon out, and that was chaotic because it was it was a national event, and that was my first nationals I did, I think, and I was still a racing dad at that stage. I guess Taj was on 65s and 85, so that was chaotic. There was all sorts of I was getting pulled and pushed from all the politics of promoters and then manufacturers on junior teams and
Yeah,
yeah,
well,
and then obviously you having to, not be there for my son through that week.
yeah,
That was a sacrifice that I sort of, look back and probably regret. And some of the commentating did take away from me being with Taj. For the I guess for the better of the sport, and I don't want to gold star and sound like a hero there, but I think there was times like that where a national event, clubs have gone to a lot of work. Shannon done an awesome job back in that era there with the motocross. I just couldn't sit back, and obviously I was capable of doing it.
yeah,
But yeah, certainly sacrificed my own time with as a parent, and that's something that Taj always said, "Dad, it's fine." Like as he got older, he's like, I know, you enjoy doing that, and it sort of motivates me. But I look back and think, was that the best decision? But it's all there, and it's all done now. We can't change it, but
yeah.
yeah, you can't have a national event without a commentator. So there's some
That's
there's a
the
lot of
sacrifices that people make behind the scenes that other people
yeah, and
don't
people
even
don't.
realize.
No, parents are sort of, other parents competitive, competition and the kids are racing, but they see it on surface level that I'm neglecting my son or something like that, but they don't realise that
Trying
without
to
that,
help
yeah,
the
trying to help
overall of everyone.
absolutely. So yeah, so that's probably some looking back that so yeah, that's sort of some of the downsides of it, but
Yeah.
also, some of the highlights, I guess, when you look back and, see the
And
events you've done, but not to the detriment of my own son, really,
have you
unfortunately.
seen any sort of unforgettable moments from the commentary box?
Um, I don't know. I think I'll air that, but unforgettable as in racing,
Yeah.
or yeah, just look, you got a bird's eye view of it, Tash. You really do, and the way I sort of, like I said earlier, the way I observe and call the racing, yeah, I mean, doing those nationals, the ones that, yeah, there's been a few just phenomenal rides by, different riders that I've just been like, holy, like it's been, I've nearly lost my voice. I mean, Keithton District's great track because there's a lot of 180 turns. It ruts up down there. There's so much good racing down at Keith. Peary always is, some of the King of the Golf and Prince of the Golf battles I've seen there. Horsham Nationals, that was the year. Oh, Reece Bard and Bailey Malkovich and these guys, Liam Andrews, they've all gone on, but they're all Victorian kids, and I think it was so close on points come that last day, and I remember being out there, and I nearly lost my voice that day, but yeah, just some of the rides from some of those kids, and it just you just get absolutely just captivates you, and you see it happen, and so yeah, they're
Pretty
really.
awesome to be a part of stuff like that.
Yeah, and you look at the crowd, and those nationals. There's 1,000 people there, and you're calling it, and you're calling a guy that's dropped it. He's leading the championship. He's fallen off. He's come up 20th, and then for the next 15 minutes they peel off rider after rider, and it just builds to the, you know. And luckily, like I was saying earlier, you read it and you just go, "Oh man, this is going to be awesome if he weaves his way through here." I'm going to be losing it. Everyone's going to be losing it. This
Yeah.
place going to be, and sometimes it works that way. But yeah, I've seen some great racing and some awesome battles, and yeah, just nothing there's not one actual moment I don't
Yeah.
think that I could actually say that stands out because I've
There's so
seen
many.
Brett Metcalf come back and do his thing and build a relationship with Brett. He was involved with me as a bit of a mentor and ambassador around when we rebuilt the SA titles. But some of the junior efforts from kids that have
I raced with
yeah,
Brett in Pee-wees.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. So, but yeah, just some of the. Oh, I remember juniors 125s years ago. Like kid had won, and then he DNF'd, and he was 2 corners from winning the championship, and the bike cut out, and like there's heartbreak, and then there's the highs and lows,
Yeah.
and you try to you ride that with them, and young his name's Jake Hansen. he had that big off a couple of years ago at Perry, and he was serious injury. He's back racing this year, but I love that. You just find the kids. Declan Smart's another one. I've seen him come through the juniors, and you follow them, and then you know how hard the family and everyone works, and when it comes off, it's great to be a part of that. But then when you see them cartwheel or something, and you can't help but just that emotion comes out, and so it's an awesome spot to be in. Like I said, I get to bring so many memories. It's no different to a photographer, I guess, and the media guys that do what they do. But it's to bring those memories to life through an interview or getting it, the audio in the background of an Instagram clip because someone's just won or that's, you can't put a price on that. That's pretty cool to be a part of so many people's lives like that through motorsports. Yeah, it's awesome.
And what do you think makes announcing sidecars different from solo motocross? Is it any
It's
different?
twice as many names. Some of them are long.
Yeah.
No, I think just getting that experience and getting to know all you guys and girls on a more personal level and understanding what it takes. I mean, it's a small committee, and sidecars in South Australia is a classic because there's a handful of people doing a shitload of work. You don't have 16, 18, 20 clubs like the motocross clubs have. You're begging for tracks. You rock up there, and Brian and Lara have got, kids like hanging off hips. They're doing sign-in. They're trying to get bikes ready. Mum and dad are running around. That's just what I just go, yes, these are my people. This is cool. Because you're battlers as a discipline against road racing, motocross, off roads, and I'm all for it. I mentioned earlier about Rosebud over in Victoria, and it's all about that grassroots stuff. And if you guys have just been such a huge support collectively to get me to these events, and obviously value what I do, but in return, to meet Murray and learn the history of those sort of events to come and do that and put you guys on the stage is that means as much to me as calling a national title, which is probably more my ego at that level, I guess. To be basically, to be really honest, it's that's more. Yeah, it's cool. It looks good on the resume, but doing the grassroots stuff and helping, coming on here and being asked to come on here is, humbling. It's pretty cool to be held in that light. Crash getting me involved in the 24-hour. It's just, it is pretty cool. And what you guys do with the limited resources you have, if there's anyone that's involved in a club when this goes to air, just get your sidecar people there. They are great people. So you don't edit that bit out, Tash. You guys just keep fighting the good fight, eh?
Yeah. And do you change your commentary depending on whether the crowd knows sidecars or is seeing them for, say, the first time? So how you would commentate sidecars, say, at the Murray Williams Cup, where is mostly all sidecars, compared to, say, at Port Pirie, where we're only one class. Do you change what you do?
Before I answer that, you've done that's a really great questioning. You've done a bit of research here because it's a great question, and I've never been asked that before, and you bang on the money. So Murray Williams Cup, as you just said then, it's sidecar people. So as far as being informative, I mean, I'm the new kid on the block there, so I'm not gonna try to talk. I'm trying to get information from you guys and girls on who's who in the zoo and how it'll work. So there, I just call the racing. It is what it is. I'm learning what goes on, but I just call it for what it is. Who gets the whole shot? Who's making passes? If there's live timing, I'll talk about lap times. I'll talk about different pairs that I've got some information, but predominantly Murray Williams Cup, to use that as an example, is just, let's just focus on the racing and get that right. Obviously talk up the formatting, obviously with the triple at the end there, or the back-to-back races. But yeah, compared to Port Pirie, where I know, and it comes back to reading the room, I know that a lot of people are seeing you guys and girls for the first time. So that's where I become more informative and make it a bit more personal. Obviously, I'll call the racing if they're out, there's a bit of bar banging and all that, but definitely just, really be conscious of trying to read the room and promote, as you touched on earlier with the girls, I'll promote yourself. If you're out there racing, I know a bit about Lara and Eliza, whoever's out there. Jazzy McPherson, I think, was out there last year.
Yep.
I hate naming names. Should never do that because you always forget one. But But yeah, so yeah, Port Pirie is more informative to get the spectators, to link you guys to the spectators is really where my focus is. And basically, yeah, giving them a rundown about what you've done. I talk about the girls, all girls day, what you've done in that space. Lara and Brian's relationship, Norman and Eliza, obviously, and then just, father, son, daughter, mum, whatever it is, and just be far more informative. Focus on that. And obviously, if the racing's close and there's a battle, I call it for what it is. But definitely, I do switch, and I think hopefully, I'm across that and read the room to the right crowd. And yeah, basically, yeah, with people, when you're a guest class or it's you're an extra at I guess a traditional solo event, well then I know that okay, a lot of people here don't know what you guys are about, and so yeah, I take that line. So that's a great question.
Yeah.
Great question.
And what do you think makes for an exciting sidecar race to call?
Oh, any race is just where there's good numbers with varying levels, I guess, if it clumps up. Like, so, you might have two out in front. So say there's 8 outfits in the race. What makes it exciting is if there's a couple of battles within that race.
Yeah.
So I don't care if first is out by a minute, but then second, third, and fourth are, a second apart. Like there's pretty much one going up high, one going in the middle, one down low through a berm or something. That's what I'll follow, even if it's 7th, 8th, and 9th. And I think that's where I sort of try to pick. Like if the winning, whether a pair or solo, is out in front or first, and then there's a gap to second, but there's a great battle for third, fourth, fifth. I'll just try to find the exciting bits in that race. If someone's had a bad start or they've fallen off, but I know that they are going to catch up, I'll highlight that and sort of say, I'm following Ryder down the back at the moment. Keep an eye on him or them as they make their way back through the field. And I think that's engaging, that people will see that and follow that. And that's what keeps people watching the race and not just talking about the person first.
Yep. So you do quite a few interviews throughout the day as well. Like, do you just sort of pick whoever sort of rolls up, or do you sort of have an idea of who you want to talk to at the start of the day?
No, I sort of just wing that. I mean, if there's someone, I'll bring up Cooper Shido again for an example. Like, so Coops hasn't raced motocross. I've seen Coops come all through the junior ranks. There's a couple of sidecar pairs. So Coops rocked up at King of the Golf last year. So I hadn't seen Coops for a few years. So I know he's on the Yamaha team. So basically, welcome him back to motocross racing, know a bit about his history, get an update on what he's doing with the Australian off-road scene, 24-hour or 6-hour trials, whatever he's doing, SA off-roads. So if there's certain people that I haven't seen, hard to get Brian for an interview. I chat to Brian a bit, obviously off without the mic, but he's busy running around. But yeah, certain people that have just I mean, I stop you because you're interesting and you're passionate about the sport. So
yeah, I'm always up for a chat.
I think it's a good platform for you to be promoted personally and for what you do in the sidecar scene. Just people that have got influence, I guess, on a more when I'm interviewing adults. But juniors, it's just more like if I get down to the start line and there's all the little 50 kids or the demo kids, you want to give them that experience. Now, I guess that's a combination of being a dad, being a sports manager, trying to grow the sport.
They always say funny stuff.
Yeah, some of them freak out and their eyes nearly pop out their goggles, and Dad's like gives it a head shake, and like I'll go along the line and say, who wants to chat, and Dad will kick the back wheel and I'll go and have a chat, little Johnny, and the kid's like nearly crying. I'm like, I don't want to ruin his day. I'll just walk to the next kid. But yeah, different personalities. I think some kids love the mic. Some kids will come up there and sort of just hang around, so to speak, and hopefully have a chat. But some kids just want to come up and yell out their friend's name on the mic or something like that. So as professional as we try to make it at different events, you've got to sort of keep it fun. Sponsors. But I just get around and. It'd be great to sort of, plan for people to come up to the box, but people feel a bit embarrassed by that. If I said, look, at lunch break or after round 2, after your race, come up. People are racing, Tash. They get busy.
And I think
they feel like a bit
tall poppy syndrome or a bit of imposter syndrome is actually a real killer in our sport.
Absolutely it is.
That's why I
No,
try to put myself out there, because I don't really wanna be doing, like, a lot of the things that I do, but I do it because I know that it's good for the sport, and I know that people are
100%.
gonna be, I'm always thinking, "Oh," they're thinking, "Oh, just shut up," or, you know "You're full of yourself," or whatever, but it's not like that at all. I just love the sport so much that I'm willing to put myself out there to try and make it better, even if
Yeah,
people,
100%.
hate me or whatever.
Nah, no one hates you, and they're the people you don't need to worry about anyway. But yeah, without people like you, like, look, you've reached out to me, and you've got a heap of other guests on your podcast. If it wasn't people like you doing that, then where is sidecar racing in 5 years from now?
Yeah.
If there wasn't commentators or promoters out there, where's the sport? Like, everyone will sit back and go, well, she's on another podcast, or they're the people that just they'll kill the sport, and unfortunately they grow like cancers, and they get in their little groups, and they form an army against you, but really it's detrimental to the sport. Like, you'll sleep well. You've done all sorts in your life, and what I've from your individual sports with your martial arts and everything. I mean, you're a pretty resilient person, and this is why you're speaking to people like me, because ultimately you don't give a shit. It's for the greater good, and
Yeah, and that's what I try
um,
to do.
and it's you bang on the money. And if everyone was like that, we wouldn't need to be. Probably we always want to promote sport, but it would be in a lot healthier spot than people just saying no for the sake of saying no, and then trying to get people around it. Just let people be progressive, and if you're not progressive, self-reflect and get the hell out of the way.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, you need to sort of, make those athlete pages, make those Instagram pages, get on the podcast, chat about it, get it out there, because, without all that stuff these days, that's the stuff that's keeping sports alive.
Yeah, absolutely, and funny enough, and you've been around like me, and people, you'll upload this, and when you do, and you'll promote it, and people will listen, and there'll be those that will just go, "Oh my god, did you hear Tash and Clint banging on the other day?" Like,
Yeah.
well, they're listening, so you've got them anyway, so
Yeah.
they're curious. So get over yourselves, people. Be
Yep.
more like Tash and get out there and promote the sport. Don't worry about what you think of me or Tash personally. Just get out there and make a difference. Get involved in your club.
Yeah.
Give up some time. Get around it.
Is there anything that you would have liked to have known, at the start, like when you started commentary? What's something that you wish you sort of had known?
I wish I'd pursued it from young age, like
Yep.
been into sports journalism, or and just taken a bit more of a direct career path, and sort of followed my dreams there, I guess. But no regrets. I'm not all about all the hoo ha, and like I said, I'd rather be, go and helping clubs that want me there for a start, and talking to kids and families, and promoting, what motorsport brings to you. I mean, Taj is 22 next week. He raced all his junior, but he reflects daily on motocross, and the discipline, and it's up to him as an individual. And there's so many life lessons outside of junior sport, and especially motorsport, that hold you in good stead in life. So no real regrets as far as, yeah, well, I look back, but my journey's my journey, and it's not always been pretty on and off the track, but I'm here, and I'm still passionate about it. And I believe, in my time when I was in a position to make a change, I made some, significant positive changes for the
Yep.
sport. And hopefully, any events I'm involved in, I get asked back, which is always it's always good feedback. I think that, you don't get asked back if you do a shit job. So if we're promoting people, and we're working with good people that are progressive, then yeah, I have no regrets really.
Yep.
I used to want to commentate every event, but that's logistically impossible. And to be frank, it's a podcast. We're speaking raw here. There's certain clubs and personalities that I don't get along with, and
Yep.
that's okay.
Yep.
I know what I sort of bring, and there's people that value that, and there's people that don't. But that's in everyday life, Tash, as you know,
Yep.
through your own life journey. So yeah, I've just worked with good people that are progressive, and that's why I've joined you today. And hopefully, yeah, people listen in and go, yeah, I'm going to actually get off my ass and do something, because
Yep.
that's what you're doing. So it's awesome.
And what advice would you give to someone who wants to become a commentator?
They'll know that they want to become a commentator.
Yep.
If you just like the sound of your own voice, then you just join a rock band. But if you're passionate about motorsport and bringing people through the gates and giving people memories, well, then you'll know that's what you do. You'd be doing something. You'd be doing guest speaking, or you'd be involved in some sort of social activity that sort of is promoting that and leadership or mentoring or sports captain, or you don't have to be the captain, but yeah, just but if you're passionate about it and you get excited about growing the sport and bringing all that action live and being informative, and that's what you want to do. Just pick up a mic or just start practicing at home and go through an old program or go on speed hive or whatever and just just call imaginary races. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's how I started.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a bit of a craft, I guess. Most premier events do have a commentator, and I hear varying feedback, and I hear some, and I'm just like, oh yeah. But I'm not here to. Well, at least they're getting up there and having to go. That's the main
Yeah.
thing, and
Yeah.
that's whether it's being an official or a commentator or a writer. It's about giving people a go and getting them involved rather than you shoot everyone down, and then it's all of a sudden there's no one left, and
Yep.
where's that? That doesn't help anyone.
Yep.
So,
Exactly.
mm.
Well, we've been chatting now for about an hour and a half, so
Oh
we
shit,
might
you've got a fair bit of editing there to do, mate.
might wrap
So
it up.
yeah,
No, that's all right.
far out.
Some of my podcasts were like 2.5 hours, and I'm like, I've got to try and cut them down a bit further because they're getting really long.
No,
But some people, you can just bloody talk for hours and hours with them.
yeah, shit, I didn't know the sun has gone down because the kid Taj is inside. This will all get edited, maybe, I don't know. But he's inside on some business calls, so I'm out in the ute at the moment trying to, and the sun's gone down around me. It's dark, so
Yep. No,
no, all
when you're
good, Tash.
passionate about stuff and you get yakking about it, it's
Yeah, 100%.
you can go on for hours about it. Like,
Yeah.
yep.
Nah, brilliant, and yeah, keep on keeping on. You're doing a great job there,
No,
and
thank
yeah,
you.
thanks again for
And
having me on. It's a
yep.
privilege. So
No, it's I really wanted to get a different angle of, people who are involved in the sport, and
yeah,
people talk to the riders. A lot of people don't talk to the other people that are involved in making our events run and making the atmosphere great, and it's good to talk to people who have a different sort of perspective from a different angle.
collectively, yeah, everyone,
Yeah.
it all comes together, and I
Yep.
guess I think I've got the easy job at the end of the day because I've been on the other side and volunteered and everything to get it there, and bringing the all the hard work to life it's an honour, and I like I said, that's why I get nervous, and I hope I'll know when I've had enough because I won't get nervous because I am passionate about it, and
Yeah.
so yeah, it's really, it is an honour to go to all these events and bring all the action to
Yeah.
life, I guess.
Yeah, well, we love having you come to our sidecar events, so thank you
That's
very
awesome.
much for that, and thanks for
No, my
getting
pleasure.
involved and always bringing positive attitude to it and being as grateful to be there as what we are to have you there. So
100%,
it's
and that's
awesome.
why it works so well. So no, appreciate that, Tash.
Alrighty, well, thank you again for jumping on, and a good night, and I'll see you at the next one.
Wherever that is.
Yep. All right. Cool.
No
Thank
worries.
you.
Thanks,
See
Tash.
ya.
Cheers. Bye.
I just want to give a shout out to the Sidecar Spin sponsors: the Dohse Family, Manuel MotoSports, Modern Air, Diesel Performance Solutions SA, and Clare Valley Speckle Park Beef. Please go and jump on Facebook and give these guys a like, and make sure you pop in and support the businesses that support sidecars. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining into that episode of the Sidecar Spin, and a massive thank you to Clint for jumping on and having a chat. It was really cool, very interesting talking to someone that's in a different position in the sport and very passionate about what he does. And yeah, thanks guys for all the support, and we'd love some feedback, and tell me anyone that you would like to have on the podcast or any type of episode ideas that you may have. And yeah, just keep supporting, keep listening, keep sharing, subscribing, and let's make this sport great. Thank you.